Let's start with a truth that doesn't get said out loud enough. Business ownership can be incredible, but it's not automatically the right move for everyone. And if you ever felt guilty for not wanting to be your own boss, or confused because you love ideas but hate admin, you're not alone.
Yeah, and today we're unpacking a big, messy question that people think has a simple answer. What's the difference between being a business owner and being an entrepreneur? And then the even bigger question, how do you know if either one fits you?
We're also going to talk about the skills and the mindset that actually make people succeed long-term and the different ways you can get into business ownership. Because it's not just start from scratch or nothing.
Let's define terms, but in plain language. When people say entrepreneur, they often picture someone chasing a new idea, building something innovative, taking big swings, and living in a world of uncertainty.
Whereas business owner can mean a lot of things. It can be the person who starts a local service company, buys an existing business, runs a franchise, or takes over a family operation. Sometimes there's innovation. Sometimes it's execution. Sometimes it's not about inventing anything new. It's about running something well.
I like to put it this way. Entrepreneurship is often idea first. Business ownership is often operations first. Both can overlap, but they're different muscles.
And neither one is better. They're just different lifestyles. Because that's what it becomes, right? It's not just a job. It's how your week feels, how your stress shows up, how you make decisions.
So if you're listening and thinking, okay, which one am I? Here's a useful checkpoint. Entrepreneurs tend to enjoy starting, experimenting, pivots, and building before there's a clear roadmap.
Business owners often enjoy improving, organizing, refining, and scaling something that already has demand. They like making the machine run better. They want predictable wins based on consistent effort.
And then there's a third category people don't mention enough. You might be neither, and that's okay. You might thrive as a key leader inside someone else's business. That's not settling. That's choosing a role that matches your strengths.
Let's hit the heart of it. How do you determine if business ownership is a fit for you? Because wanting freedom is not the same as wanting ownership.
Exactly. People say, I want flexibility. But in early ownership, flexibility is often the last thing you get. You might get autonomy, meaning you're in charge. But you're also responsible. Those are not the same feeling.
So here are a few questions to ask yourself. And be honest, because there's no prize for pretending. First, do you like making decisions with incomplete information? Because in ownership, you rarely get perfect clarity. You're choosing vendors, pricing, hires, marketing, and you're often guessing, testing, and correcting.
Second, how do you relate to risk? Not just financial risk, but emotional risk. Can you handle a month where revenue dips and you have to stay steady anyway? Can you hear no from customers and keep going?
Third, are you willing to do unglamorous work consistently? Like following up on invoices, dealing with customer complaints, managing schedules, fixing broken processes, repeating the same training over and over. Because the highlight reel is fun, but the day-to-day is where the business is won.
And here's one people forget. Do you actually enjoy serving customers? Owning a business is not about escaping people. It's about solving problems for people at scale. If you dislike customers, the business will feel like a cage.
Let's talk about motivations, because they matter. Some motivations are strong fuel, and some burn out fast. A healthy driver sounds like, I want to build something I'm proud of, or I want more control of my career, or I see a problem I can solve.
The shakier motivations sound like, I hate my boss, or I just want quick money, or I want to prove something to people. Those might get you started, but they don't usually carry you through the boring middle.
Now, skills and mindset. Let's separate those because skills can be learned and mindset can be trained, but you have to know what you're signing up for.
Skill number 1. Sales. Not in a hypey way. In the real sense of being able to understand a customer problem, communicate value, and ask for the business. If you avoid sales completely, you'll always be dependent on luck.
Yes, and sales is not just closing. It's pricing confidently, following up, building referrals, listening to objections, and improving your offer. A lot of struggling owners are actually just unclear marketers and inconsistent salespeople.
Skill number 2, financial basics. You don't have to be a CPA, but you do have to understand cash flow, margins, fixed versus variable expenses, and the difference between revenue and profit. Because a business can look busy and still be broke.
Skill number 3, operations and systems. The ability to turn how I do this into how we do this. Checklists, templates, processes, and clear expectations. If everything depends on your memory and your mood, growth will hurt.
Skill number 4, people leadership. Even if you start solo, if you want to grow, you'll eventually need help. Hiring, training, feedback, setting standards, and sometimes letting people go. Not everyone wants that responsibility, and that's a valid preference.
And skill number 5, customer experience. Delivering what you promised, fixing mistakes quickly, and building trust. In many industries, that alone wins. You don't need to be the most innovative if you're the most reliable.
Now mindset. This is the part that makes or breaks people.
First, mindset, accountability. As an owner, you lose the ability to say, they didn't let me. If something isn't working, it's yours to solve. That's empowering and it's heavy.
Second mindset, patience. Most sustainable businesses are built slowly. Not necessarily painfully, but steadily. If you expect overnight success, you'll make desperate decisions that cost you later.
Third mindset, tolerance for ambiguity. Some weeks you'll feel like a genius. Some weeks you'll wonder what you're doing. The owners who last don't panic with every fluctuation.
Fourth mindset, continuous learning. Markets change, platforms change, customer expectations change. Strong owners are always upgrading their thinking. They don't treat feedback like an insult.
And fifth mindset, boundaries. This surprises people. You can work endlessly in a business. The skill is choosing what matters, setting hours, protecting your health, and building something that doesn't consume your entire identity.
Okay, let's get practical. What are the process options to business ownership? Because there are multiple on-ramps, and the right one depends on your risk tolerance, your capital, and your personality.
Option 1. Start from zero. You build a brand, find customers, test offers, and grow it step by step. The upside is control and creativity. The downside is uncertainty, and it can take time to stabilize.
Option 2. Buy an existing business. This is underrated. Instead of guessing whether people will pay, you're stepping into something with existing customers, revenue history, and operations. But you need due diligence, and you need to understand what you're actually buying, a healthy business or a problem dressed up as one.
Option 3. Franchising. You're buying a model, not inventing one. You get brand recognition, playbooks, and support, but you trade away some flexibility. Great for people who want structure and a proven system, and less ideal for people who want to reinvent everything.
Option 4. Partnership. You join forces with someone who complements your strengths. This can be amazing when it's built on clear roles, aligned values, and written agreements. It can also get messy when people assume they'll figure it out later. Later always comes.
Option 5. Buy into ownership where you already work. Sometimes the best path is moving from employee to partial owner, or taking over a business from a retiring founder. You already understand the operations, and you can transition more smoothly. It's not always possible, but it's worth exploring.
And here's a bonus option: micro-acquisitions or small side projects that grow. Not every business has to start as a huge leap. You can validate demand with a part-time offering, then scale only when the numbers and your energy support it.
So how do you choose the right path? I think it comes down to what you want your day-to-day life to look like.
Yes. Ask yourself, do I want to create, or do I want to run? Do I want a blank canvas, or a checklist? Do I want high autonomy even if it's chaotic, or steadier predictability even if it's less creative?
And be careful with the word freedom. Ownership can bring freedom later, but early on it often demands discipline. Real freedom usually comes from systems, stable cash flow, and a business that doesn't depend on you for every decision.
Let's give listeners a few quick self-check scenarios. If you love launching new ideas, get bored once something works, and you're energized by starting over, you may lean entrepreneur.
If you love making things efficient, improving quality, building a team, and creating consistency, you may lean business owner-operator.
If you want impact but not the full weight of risk, you might be a strong number 2, a general manager, director, or key executive who thrives inside a business and still gets to lead.
And if hearing all of this makes your chest tighten, that's useful information too. It might mean you want a different form of independence, like freelancing, contracting, or a role with more autonomy but not ownership.
Before we wrap, one last myth to bust. Being a successful owner doesn't mean you do everything. It means you build something that gets results. Delegation isn't laziness. It's leadership.
And you don't need to be fearless. You just need to be willing. Willing to learn. Willing to be uncomfortable. Willing to keep promises to customers. Willing to look at the numbers. Willing to have the hard conversations.
So if you're deciding whether business ownership is for you, take the pressure off the identity label. You don't have to call yourself an entrepreneur to build a great business. And you don't have to own a business to be ambitious or successful.
Pick the path that matches your strengths, your season of life, and the kind of problems you actually want to solve. That's the real win.
And if you want a simple next step after this episode, do this. Write down the kind of work you want more of, the kind you want less of, and what you're willing to be responsible for. That list will tell you more than hype ever will.
That's it for today. Whether you're building, buying, franchising, partnering, or deciding it's not for you right now, the goal is the same. Create a career you can actually sustain.